Chapter number 1. The Constitution of India. Ajay and Sonia are absorbed in a game of chess when their younger sister Tanya enters the room. She wants to play with them. Rules tell you how to play the game. Tanya lets loose her white soldiers, all the same time turning the chessboard into an actual battlefield. Sonia then teaches Tanya the rules of the game and how exactly chess has to be played. Just as all games follow certain fundamental rules, similarly, societies too follow a set of rules that helps in proper running of the government. For example, just as we cannot play chess without the regulations that help us play it, likewise, we cannot hold elections without creating the rules and procedures for conducting elections. In modern societies, where diverse groups of people stay together, such rules are generally made by consensus and are in written form. A written, sometimes unwritten also, document that contains the rules and regulations by which a country is governed is called a constitution. It is frequently referred to as the soul of democracy, as it primarily aims to maintain political stability, peace, and solidarity in the country. The Constitution helps us in determining the structure of the government, powers and functions, rights and duties of the people, and so on. It helps in binding together the society by treating all communities equally. It is important that every country should have a constitution for the following reasons. Firstly, it defines the basic nature of our society, that is, it lays down the ideals that all citizens believe in and agree to uphold. Diverse elements normally make up a country, and the constitution, besides defining the structure of the government, lays down the principles that all citizens agree to abide by. Let us try to understand this through the political situation of Nepal, a nation that lies to the north of India. Nepal was a monarchy wherein all powers were vested with the kings. Widespread unrest against the system eventually led to a change in 1990. However, the king continued to be the head of the state and an elected prime minister ran the government. This situation lasted for 12 years until 2002, when King Gyanendra, citing political instability, sacked the elected government and slowly began to take control of the government. In 2006, there was massive unrest throughout the country, demanding establishment of democracy. People of Nepal refused to accept the earlier constitution, as it did not reflect the ideals of the people of Nepal. Finally, the king was stripped of all his powers, and in 2008, Nepal was declared Federal Democratic Republic with President as head of the state. Secondly, it describes the nature of the country's political system. For instance, in the above example, prior to the political upheaval, Nepal had a monarchical system, wherein the king and his ministers took all decisions. However, in a democratic setup, the constitution plays a crucial role. It lays down the guidelines for the selection of representatives, distribution of power, and puts down a system of checks and balances to ensure that no one misuses power and authority. Many a times, unlimited authority leads to gross unfairness. In the Indian Constitution, the fundamental rights include rules that protect the interest of the citizen against misuse of authority by government officials or politicians. Another important function of the Constitution is to protect the interest of minority against the domination of the influential sections of the society. It includes both inter-community, one group of people dictating another group, as well as intra-community domination, powerful members dominating others within the same community. For example, a resident welfare association prevents boys from the neighboring slum to play in their colony's park as they regard them as nuisance. This is an example of discrimination against the weaker sections of the society. The Indian Constitution strictly prohibits discrimination on such grounds as caste, creed, gender, class, and race. Another key role of the Constitution is to safeguard us against choices that might have undesirable effect on rules and principles that the country believes in. The Indian Constitution. The Constituent Assembly. In 1943, the Congress put forward the demand for a Constituent Assembly formed only of Indians. It was finally convened in December 1946 with Dr. Rajendra Prasad as its president. Between December 1946 and November 1949, 300 members met regularly to draft the Constitution of India with the vision that the free India should be a democracy. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, father of the Indian Constitution, was the chairman of the drafting committee. It took 2 years, 11 months and 17 days to draft the Constitution, and after a lot of deliberation, it was approved on 26 November 1949. Challenges faced by the farmers. A number of challenges confronted the farmers while drafting the Constitution. Foremost, India was a country made up of diverse communities that spoke many languages, pursued different religions, and practiced distinct customs and traditions. Moreover, when the Constitution was being drafted, the country was going through considerable political unrest, partition was inevitable, and many princely states were uncertain about their future. Lastly, socio-economic situation of the majority of the population was miserable. Nevertheless, the farmers drafted a constitution that emphasized people's role in the formation of the government, eliminating poverty by undertaking socio-economic reforms and maintaining unity along with preserving diversity. Features of the Indian Constitution. The Constitution came into effect on 26 January 1950. It is perhaps the longest and the most exhaustive constitution in the world. Since its adoption, the country has undergone major changes in political, social, and economic arena. Accordingly, changes were made from time to time in the Constitution by making amendments to the existing laws. Now, let us look at some of the principles highlighted in our Constitution. The Constitution begins with the preamble that states the ideals, which acts as a guideline for the policymakers. These ideals or principles are as follows. Federalism. India is a land of diversity which has two levels of government, the state government and the central government. Both the center and the state draw power from the Constitution. The union, state, and concurrent lists deal with the powers and functions of each level. In a federal setup, individual states enjoy independence in matters related to their states. On matters of national importance, they have to follow orders of the central government. Some issues are of concern for both the center and the states, so they are included in the concurrent list. Parliamentary form of government. In a parliamentary structure, the people who are chosen by the citizens through universal adult suffrage run the country. These people are the elected representatives of the citizens on behalf of whom they make laws. The Indian Constitution guarantees universal adult franchise. This means that all citizens of 18 years of age or above have the right to vote. The farmers felt that all citizens, regardless of their social background, can directly participate in the functioning of the government in this manner. Separation of powers. The Constitution clearly defines powers between three organs of the state: legislature, executive, and judiciary. The legislature is the group of elected representatives that frames laws on behalf of the people. The executive is responsible for implementation of those rules and regulations and is answerable to the legislature. Lastly, the judiciary protects the interest of the people and prevents the breach of rules proclaimed in the Constitution by any of the organs. Thus, each organ acts as a system of check on the other and creates a balance of power between the three. Fundamental rights. The Indian Constitution guarantees its citizens certain rights which are essential for our well-being and promote the ideals of equality, liberty, and justice. The 6 fundamental rights included in the Constitution are: right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, and right to constitutional remedies. These fundamental rights are often referred to as the conscience of the Indian Constitution. Fundamental duties. Since people benefit from the rights, it is their responsibility to do something for the state. Fundamental duties, though not enforceable by law, were included in the Indian Constitution in 1976. It is the fundamental duty of every citizen to show respect to our national flag and anthem, give regard and preserve our natural and cultural heritage, promote peace and harmony, uphold principles of sovereignty, unity, and honesty, safeguard public property, develop scientific temper and spirit of inquiry, directive principles of state policy. These are guidelines that help the government in transforming the ideals highlighted in the Constitution into laws that promote socio-economic justice, strengthen the democratic system, safeguard our heritage, and help in maintaining peaceful relations with our neighboring countries. Secularism. A secular state is one that does not support any particular religion and treats all religions alike. The word secularism was included by an amendment to the Constitution in 1976. As per the Indian Constitution, people are free to practice and propagate any religion of their choice. We will read more about the concept in the subsequent chapters. Thus, the history of a country often has profound influence on its constitution. Farmers of the Constitution wanted to achieve rapid growth and advancement, but at the same time, they wanted to preserve the diverse characteristics. This they did by making various provisions in the Constitution. Fundamental rights. Right to equality. According to the Constitution, all people are equal in the eyes of law. No one can be discriminated on the grounds of color, caste, class, gender, or creed. This is valid in matters of employment as well as education. However, special provisions have been made for reservation of seats for underprivileged. Practicing untouchability in any form is a punishable offense. Right to freedom. The Constitution ensures freedom of speech and expression, to assemble peacefully without arms and ammunition, to form associations and unions, to move freely and reside in any part of the country, and to practice the profession of one's own choice. Right against exploitation. The Indian Constitution recognizes the dignity of every individual, and so it prohibits human trafficking, sale and purchase of human for immoral purpose, begging, forced labor, and employing children below the age of 14. Right to freedom of religion. It means all religions are equal and every individual is free to practice and propagate the religion of his or her choice. Cultural and educational rights. The Indian Constitution guarantees the right to education. Moreover, since our country is composed of diverse elements, the Constitution guarantees everyone the right to develop and preserve his or her culture. Right to constitutional remedies. The Constitution also grants the right to move the court in case of violation of our fundamental rights by the state. The court can uphold the rights of the citizens by issuing a writ or order.